Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing gloti4 in the 15-minute pool on ICC. Gloti4 opens with d4. I recall playing this player a couple times. I think this is the player that I blew a 2-pawn up endgame against a while back. And I recall them playing really fast and trash talking in the chat afterwards for no reason whatsoever. So, needless to say, I really want to win this game. So I'm going to try to play quickly and not get too far behind on the clock because, yeah, I'm definitely remembering who this is now. In playing them a couple times, I just recall them kind of throwing out the moves pretty quickly at the beginning, and I was in time pressure in both games. Okay, so a4. I think I just want to play e6 against this. If they take on b5, I can take c3 and then recapture. So no harm done there. Yeah, let's do this. So yeah, a takes b5. Let's take here. And then we'll recapture. And usually they go knight g5. And now you have to be careful because queen f3 could easily become a threat, attacking f7 and also a8. So I think I'll play bishop b7 to guard against that. If queen h5, I have to play g6, but that just comes with the territory. So yeah, let's do this. I'm just being a little careful because I haven't faced this line for a while, and it is dangerous. You know, clearly white's sacrificing a pawn for the initiative, so we have to keep our wits about us. So queen h5 hits f7. Yeah, I think g6 is the move. Just trying to remember my theory. I think they're going to play queen g4. And then do I play bishop d5? It might be bishop d5. Okay, so let's do this. Yep, queen g4 was played. Yeah, and there's a couple ways that white will try to attack us now, like bishop e2 to f3 is one of them. So I can play bishop d5, I can play bishop e7, and I can play knight d7. All those are options. Maybe bishop e7 should be played. Although, again, bishop e2 will be the probable answer. You'd really like to blockade d5, and you'd like to do it quickly. So that's why I included bishop d5 on my list of candidate moves. So bishop d5, bishop e2, let's say knight c6, bishop f3, bishop e7, something along those lines. Somehow doesn't feel quite right. Bishop e7 and knight d7 are developing moves, so all else being equal, I'd like to play one of those first. Knight d7, bishop e2, knight b6, bishop f3, bishop d5 then, maybe? Could be. He's going to get play on the dark squares, though, in that case. Let's look at bishop e7 for a second. So bishop e7, bishop e2, bishop d5 then, maybe? Yeah, that might be the best way of going about this. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, we're going to play bishop e7. h4. Okay, I do remember this. So yeah, h4, and I think they play h5. Queen f4, I can take on g5. So yeah, I probably want to play h5. Because if I don't, they're going to get h5 in themselves, and that could be unpleasant. So let's do this. And I think if queen f4, I'm happy to trade, even though it will weaken my dark squares. Getting rid of that white knight is helpful, I believe. So my game plan is just to stay safe, complete my development, and exploit my extra pawn in the long run. But for the moment, I just want to mind my P's and Q's, make sure I'm not falling for any tactic, and try to get to safety. He's thinking a little bit now. This is another line that I'm going to be reviewing soon. Periodically, I like to go back and review lines that are dangerous, but I just haven't faced in tournaments. Like, you really rarely see this line in tournament play, but it's not like it doesn't have a right to exist. Okay, so queen g3. I think white's going to do this bishop e2 to f3 plan, because that's what everyone does in this line. Now, knight d7, bishop e2, knight b6, bishop f3, bishop d5. How are we feeling about that? That looks pretty stable. I think it can be played. But knight d7, he might take on g6, huh? Or e6, rather. Yeah, knight d7, knight takes e6, f takes e6, queen takes g6, check. King f8, bishop h6. So maybe I should start with bishop d5. That's probably a better idea. Yeah, let's do that. So just guarding e6. I think this is a smarter way of playing, overprotecting the e6 square. Yep, he does play the bishop out. Okay, so let's come here. And if bishop f3, knight b6. He castles, all right. So knight b6 all the same. I don't see any counter argument to playing that. I mean, I might think about castling myself soon, but not right away. So yeah, let's just play knight b6 and see how white tries to get compensation, because white is the one down the pawn. We have this nice queenside majority, C, B, and A pawns. So I'd love to create a passed pawn with these in the long run. I do recall that sometimes black plays king f8 in these positions and doesn't necessarily castle, but will play king f8 if they think the king needs to come to g7. So they'll castle by hand, but keep h5 guarded by this rook. So I may opt for that. You never know. Really depends what white does here. If rook b1, I can always just play a6, so that's fine. Guard the pawn. I mean, I think they probably will play bishop f3 because I don't see any other continuation of the attack for them. Bishop a3, okay. Well, against that one, I was thinking of taking on g5. Because, yes, I have some dark square weaknesses, but, well, actually taking on a3 is probably pretty good as well. I mean, I guard e4 for the moment, so I don't have to worry about, like, knight e4 to d6 or something, but... Okay, so let's say I take a3, they take with a rook, queen e7, hitting the rook. I guess they can double up in that case. Yeah, the future maneuver of the knight will be annoying. So bishop takes g5 on the other hand. What's going on there? So bishop takes g5. I'm betting they'll take with the pawn because I don't think they want to trade queens. So then let's say h4. Huh. I can keep my king in the center. I can play king d5, but looks a little shaky. I don't know. Interesting decision here. Trade the dark square bishops or trade that potentially menacing knight? So take g5, pawn takes, h4. I think queen g4 will be played. Yeah, I think I'm giving them a little bit too much in the way of dark square play there. So let's look at bishop takes a3 again. Bishop takes, rook takes. Maybe king f8 then? Or queen e7 first. Maybe draw the rook over and then play king f8. Could be okay. Yeah, let's do that. I think I feel better eliminating that dark square bishop first. That just seems consistent with what I should be doing here. We'll go queen e7. Still might castle by hand. King f8, king g7. But at least now I don't have to worry about chronic dark square weaknesses. The downside is, I am having to look at knight e4 and into f6 or d6 in the future. I hope I can keep e4 guarded so that doesn't become an issue, but it is something that I must bear in mind. And he doubles on the file. Okay. See, I was thinking about playing king f8 now. This pawn is guarded, so we've got that taken care of for the moment. I could also play knight a4, but is that really necessary right now? I somehow don't think so. Yeah, so let's bring this over. Looks passive, but, what is White really doing here? I guess is my argument. Maybe he can play rook a5 and go after this pawn. I was thinking I had b4 in that case, but that does drag my queen a bit further away from the king side. Rook a5, b4, pawn takes, queen takes. You can take a7 then. Huh. Yeah, rook a5 is a bit annoying. Maybe I have to play queen d7 in this case, but then queen f4 comes. Yeah, that's an irritating move. I wish I would have looked at that a bit further. Because a6 is just going to drop the pawn. So b4 takes, queen takes. Yeah, he just takes a7 is the issue. Bishop c6, there's bishop f3. I could stick the knight on d5 then at least, though. Bishop c6, bishop f3, knight d5, knight e4. Okay, I'm going to try that. Let's see how that turns out. I think it's worth it trying to keep the queen side together. So I'm still a tempo or two away from consolidating my position, I believe. All right, knight d5. Is that what we're going to play? What if he takes on d5? I guess we can always take with a bishop and then play king g7. Okay, so let's do that. Because if bishop takes, pawn takes, I feel like e6 could be a problem. But bishop takes, maybe I'm just willing to give the b-pawn just to play king g7, and I'm pretty secure then. That is one nice thing when you're down a pawn, is like oftentimes you can afford to just give that pawn back at some stage. So, all right, let's complete our development here. Connect the rooks. Interesting position. White's got pressure, for sure. Maybe knight into d6. Attacking b5. Bishop e2. What is up with that move? That move is hard to figure out. I mean, bishop takes c4 is not a threat. Maybe they want the queen communicating here? Huh. Really weird. Okay. But still, I gotta find a way to free myself. Not simple. Queen c7. Queen c7 looks okay-ish. Knight d6 maybe in reply. b4 is going to drop the c4 pawn. So I'm not sure about that one. How does queen c7 help us, though? I want to play queen c7, but I can't explain why that would help us. Maybe it frees up the e7 square for the knight. Maybe is that why I like it? Could be. A6 he's just going to take. Although a6... Take. I have queen b7 at the end. No, I think I'm going to play queen c7. I'm going to stick with this move. My time is really low, mind you. I got to move faster. Yeah, knight e7 to f5 might be a good reroute to achieve. I mean, I'm willing to give back a pawn if I think it frees my position. So I'm not completely opposed to that happening. All right, so what to do here? Knight c5. Knight f5 maybe? Or knight e7 looking to come to f5? Yeah, let's do it. Again, we got to move faster. Sending the knight a ways away from where it might want to be, though. But I think putting the knight on f5 could be helpful. I get rid of the bishop takes h5 stuff because I'll free up this rook. So seeking new horizons for the knight. Queen g5, aggressive. Maybe I have to come back. All right, I'm going to come back and guard f6. Not too pleasant. All right, I'm just going to repeat once and see what he does. He's got a lot of pressure, so... Yeah, with my time, I don't know if I should risk it. I might just want to click draw. Oh, he took the draw. All right, so game drawn by repetition. Yeah, not the best, because I feel like I should be able to make more out of my position. Just I spent a lot of time recalling the theory, for one thing. And then maybe king f8 was an inaccuracy, or queen e7. Somewhere right around here, I feel like I did not get sufficient compensation. Or sufficient play, let's say. And he got sufficient compensation. Let's go back and have a look. So Slav d takes c4 and aggressive line with e4. White played it in theoretically the best way with a4. I've seen people play it without a4, but a4 usually seeks to destabilize the queenside, so I think it's reasonable to do this. I believe this is all theory. A takes b5, knight takes c3, take, knight g5. So I put the bishop on b7, guarding against queen f3. Because, yeah, if you play something inattentive like this, you're going to quickly run afoul of tactics like queen f3 right away, hitting the rook, and also f7. Or maybe knight takes f7. So bishop b7, queen h5, g6, guarding against the mate. Yeah, and here I was somewhat on my own. This is about as far as I remembered. Like, I remembered, like, patterns, like how you're supposed to develop here. Like getting the knight to d5 or putting the bishop on d5, putting the bishop on e7, this king f8, g7 thing. But I think in sharper positions like this, sharper lines, you can't afford to think in generalities. Like, I should just know what the best thing to do is here. So that means I got to go back and look at this line again. Bishop e7, I think, is the move, but let's just turn on the engine and see. Yeah, bishop e7's fine. h4. So this introduces the idea of h5, which would weaken my king side, so I don't really want to allow that. So I played h5 myself. The engine wants to play here, kicking the knight, and then go queen d5. Interesting. It's an intriguing idea before white has played bishop e2, because if the bishop was on e2 right here, they would meet this queen d5 idea with queen f or bishop f3. So, yeah, maybe h6. So instead, h5, queen f3, or queen g3 rather, was played. If queen f4, I might take on g5, whereupon he'd be unable to take with the bishop. So, yeah, not surprising that queen g3 was played. And here I put the bishop on d5. Again, the computer wants to play queen d5, which in a way stops bishop e2 because of queen takes g2. Maybe I should have looked at queen d5 in a little more detail. Probably I should have. But I played bishop d5. White played bishop e2. And now I played knight d7. Again, the computer disagrees. It wants to play b4. b4 looks almost premature to me. Computer definitely likes it, though. Castles a5. Just get the pawns going immediately on the queen side. Maybe. I still feel like we're within the realm of theory. So knight d7, castles, knight b6. Yeah, here I can definitely see the value in a move like a5 and getting the queenside pawns going. That makes sense. Because given the problems I had on the a-file, it would have been nice if my a-pawn was further advanced so I could, yeah, just start pushing it up the board. As played, this pawn stuck around on a7 and white got doubled up on the a-file. Looked pretty nice for them. Bishop a3. Again, a5 is the recommended move. I think I correctly refrained from playing this move. Because after takes, those dark square weaknesses are not going away, and I'll never be able to castle here. Even though my king for the moment is safe, I think white has compensation for the pawn at this stage. So I'd rather get rid of that dark square bishop. Yeah, and here again I should have played a5. Would have been a good opportunity for that one. Okay, so queen e7 was just inaccurate. Yep. Safe to say I underestimated how difficult my position could be if white just doubled up on the a-file and stalled the advance of these pawns. Yeah, I started to feel like I could be worse now, for sure. I mean, if white wins the pawn back, I think almost certainly they're going to be better because my coordination is poor right now. And they're fully coordinated. That's why I was a little surprised he repeated so willingly at the end. Yeah, like after rook a5, the engine already thinks the best thing I can do is just give back the pawn. Rook takes a6, king g7, and try to simplify. But, you know, on this line, like if I swap all the rooks on a8, there's bishop takes h5 at the end, I believe. Like here, I think they can do this. This was my constant worry in pulling the rook away from h8, is that white might do this. And then if I take, there's knight takes e6, and I'm getting checkmated next move because of queen g7. So I tried to hold b5, but yeah, he's just getting too much now. And I was worried about bishop takes d5 here. Because if I take with the pawn, e6 is always on the table. maybe this first. My bishop is looking terrible, and my pawns have been stalled. This position is just losing, according to the computer. And if bishop takes, he can win the pawn back with rook takes b5 right away. I thought maybe after king g7 I would be safe enough. My rooks would be connected, but yeah, there's ideas I wasn't even really thinking about, like knight h3 to f4. Yeah, that looks kind of nasty. Threatening the bishop, threatening h5 again. Given the fact that I was also down on time, this would not have been pleasant to meet. Maybe if he had spent a little more time right around here trying to figure out the best thing to do, he would have had a chance. Knight e4, yeah, knight e4 didn't seem that threatening. The move that really baffled me was bishop e2. I still don't fully understand why white played that move. And they have nice control of the position. There might not be something forcing, but yeah, bishop e2, I don't understand. So rook a6 is better, taking aim at the bishop. Because of bishop b7, I was assuming they could just take here, but maybe there's something even stronger. Knight d6. Huh. And then if I take here, they take d5. That's nifty. And note that if e takes d5, there's knight f5 check, forking the king and the queen. So, yeah, that could have been more promising. Rook a6. So I played queen c7. White played knight c5. I dropped this back. Yeah, even queen c7, I mentioned that I had a hard time verbalizing why I like this move. I just felt like I had to play it. I think subconsciously I wanted to maneuver this knight and get it to f5, but it's very possible queen c7 also is not the best move. So rook hb8 is better, but always I thought that if I did that they would take here, but okay, I guess I can come back. That's not a detail that I appreciated. Come back. Attack the bishop, and then let's say the bishop just backs off somewhere, then you take h4. Aha. It's a clever switchback right there. Yeah, so knight c5. Again, maybe there were more purposeful things white had, like knight d6. Because in the final position, I think I should be happy to take the draw. I mean, queen g3 is not forced. If white wanted to, they could continue and keep putting pressure on. They are ahead like 7 minutes, 6 minutes on the clock. So, yeah, it would have made sense for them to keep playing, I think. Probably it's correct to take the draw here for me. Almost certainly it is. So, a couple things from this game that I picked up. One, I got to go look back and look at the theory. I've known that about this line in the past. Like, I've never faced this line OTB, but whenever I face this line online, I get into positions where I think, it'd be really nice to just know what the best move is here. Because I know this gambit's a little unsound for white, and black should be better. But you can see white generates a lot of pressure, and black's behind in development because they took time to pick up that pawn and defend it with b5 and such. So this is like a practical gambit for white where I think they're mostly hoping to catch black ill-prepared for it. Also, I think I have to bear in mind that in this line, it's good to activate the queenside pawns quicker if you can. Like a5. a5 was suggested on various moves by the engine because that would have stopped the situation from happening in the game where white's doubled up and I can't push the pawn to a5. That was very tied down, and white should have been a lot better here. So, got to look at this line. Maybe I should also keep in mind the queen d5 idea, attacking g2 and kind of stopping bishop e2, f3. Mostly I just need to look up the theory, which I will do now after I stop this recording. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Talk to you guys later. Bye.